Started. They need to get in there. Okay, I'm on. Hi, everybody. I don't know who watching and who ain't watching, but I wanted to get on here and just do something live. Wednesday night, we had a Zoom meeting, and a couple of crossbound teens were on there. A couple weren't. Um, well, quite a bit weren't. But I found out after that Zoom meeting, the audio was so bad, most people couldn't hear what I was saying. We wanted to record it and post it, but it was just so bad I didn't even post it. So happy Friday to y'all. I hope y'all doing well wherever y'all at. But today I wanted to get on and just share what I shared that night. For the people who weren't able to hear it, if you saw earlier, we have an Instagram page now, um, Twitter page, Periscope, Facebook, and YouTube. So if you want to follow in any one of those places, I don't think I can do live streaming in all of those places yet. I think this is going to be on Instagram and Twitter from this platform that I'm using called Lula. I think it's called Lula TV. So I'm hoping this goes through. But today I just wanted to say, yeah, we have decided as a church to cancel things for the next 2 weeks and then kind of reevaluate, kind of seeing where things are with a bigger governmental body. But we made this decision because we want to honor the authorities that God has put into place. And this is what they're saying. So we don't want to dishonor them in any way. And in honoring them, we want to honor God as well. So the recommendation was to have 10 people, I think 10 people or less. And sometimes the youth group is less than 10 people. Sometimes it's more than 10 people if you include adults too. So we wanted to honor that. So we'll be meeting in this way. Today I'm just going to briefly talk about, because I'm learning this live stuff, I don't want to be on here long. But I'm going to talk about David and Goliath. For you who come to church on Sundays, you heard a little bit of this. But I'm going to say it again for the people who did not hear it. When it comes to the coronavirus or CO whatever 19 virus, I think that I tend to lean on the side of being a little bit more careless, not worrying about it, and those things. And that's not always good. One thing that came to my mind was David and Goliath. And in the story of David and Goliath, if you've never heard of it, David was in the king's court playing the lyre. Saul was the king at the time. And Goliath came along. I'm looking at it here. A Philistine, and the Philistines came to battle against Saul and the Israel army. And instead of doing a full out battle, they sent out Goliath. And Goliath said, if someone can defeat me, we'll be your servants. But if I defeat that someone, um, you all will be our servants. And no man wanted to fight Goliath. He was a very large man. He was experienced in battle, very strong, and he had plenty of armor on. So just visibly, he made the Israelites fearful. And you see that in 1 Samuel 17, verse 11. It says, when Saul and all the Israelites heard these words of the Philistines, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. And I'm going to compare Goliath kind of to the virus right now. It may make a lot of people dismayed and greatly afraid. But David heard about this through a number of situations, and no man would fight Goliath, but David said he would fight Goliath. Now, the king found out that David would fight Goliath, and one of the first things he said is, you're just a youth and you're not experienced in battle. And this guy's been experienced in battle for many years. And David kind of gives his resume about killing lions as a shepherd and bears and things like that. So the king's okay for him to fight, and the king decides to give him armor. Well, the armor wasn't fitting for David. I don't know if it was too heavy. I forget exactly what I read, but he ended up not even taking the armor. So David ends up going to fight Goliath, who's fully armored down, because David had trust in God. He was willing to fight the battle and overcome the obstacle in front of him. And there's a couple of things I want to point out. And if you don't know the story, David eventually defeats Goliath by throwing a stone him in the forehead and chopping off his head. But a couple of things I wanted to point out. The Saul and the men of Israel, they were fearful. And that fear paralyzed them so much that it allowed the enemy to gain ground. And I think that's one thing we have to watch, that fear paralyzing us so much that it allows the enemy to gain ground. And we're not trusting in God at that time. So I do want to say that be cautious of that, because in that fear, it does allow the enemy to gain ground. But I also wanted to say, when you listen to the story, or I wouldn't even say the story, the history, that's probably more accurate to saying. I don't like to say story, but the history of what happened here, you have to realize that Goliath had on a lot of armor, and he was covered almost from head to toe. Almost everything was covered. And when David went out there, he didn't go out there with a sword. He got out there with some stones. He didn't go out there with a sword. And he had to take steps to overcome the giant. Like, he didn't just throw the stone randomly. He probably could see that, okay, I got to hit him in the forehead. And those were the steps that he needed to take to overcome the giant. So I say that to say, if we're comparing Goliath to the virus and everything that's going on, there are certain steps that we need to take to overcome the giant. And those steps may not exactly be throwing a stone, but it is following some of the guidelines that have been put forth to help us overcome the giant that is in front of us. So I want to say that for both sides, people who may be fearful, but also people who may be like me, who are more careless, because one thing that was said, I was looking at an interview, I think it was Lecrae, and he was talking about how, a person like me, maybe a person like you, who's really healthy and has a healthy immune system, can fight this no problem. But if we end up getting the disease out of being careless, and then we pass it on to someone else who does not have a great immune system, who's not doing well, we can end up killing them. Even though the disease didn't bother us, it could be a life and death situation for them. So just consider these things in wisdom as you move forward. We don't want to be over spiritual and say we don't have to take steps. David wasn't over spiritual and didn't think he knew he had to take steps in defeating the giant. But also, we want to trust in God and not be so fearful that we're like Saul and his men, and we're so fearful and dismayed that we don't even move forward. We allow the enemy to gain ground. So in this time, we want to honor God. I'm going to be doing more live videos as we figure out this more and more. Follow us on Instagram, Crossbound. I can't remember all of it. Crossbound 316 on Instagram. Facebook, I think it Crossbound Teens Ferguson Church of the Nazarene. Twitter, not quite sure. Just look for Crossbound in those places. So I hope you all are doing well. Feel free to text me or call me, because it ain't a lot going on. Just trying to figure out a lot of this communication things. Feel free to text me, call me, and then look for stuff from the Missouri District Teens. They're going to be posting different stuff. Us youth pastors got together. We talked about different things, and most of the stuff is going to be coming through the Missouri District Teen Facebook page, and also the NY underscore, I can't even remember what it is, but it's the NYI Instagram page. So if you haven't followed those pages yet, follow them. if you need more information about that, text me. Y'all got my number, so text me. God bless you. Hopefully it's good to see my face. I can't see y'all face, but I hope to see y'all soon, whether it's in a chat or if things pass by faster than we think, physically in person. So God bless you all. Be blessed. Continue to spend time with your family. Continue to stay in your word. You know, we're reading Exodus. So continue to read Exodus if you're just looking for guidance on what to read.